I know what my goals are at the end of the line. I know what I want to be doing at USC next year and past USC. Like, I know what I want down the line, and I'm like, that's an everyday challenge to get to those things at the end, which I'm fully bought in for.
A 6-foot forward who hails from Boise High School. 5-star Avery Howell from Boise.
Howell from Boise.
My name's Avery Howell, and I'm from Boise, Idaho. It's not exactly on the map with all the club stuff that I've done. Like, we've always been just a team from Idaho. The right side.
Okay.
Not letting the ball go across. Not letting my lower body impact my.
Okay. 1.
My day in, day out is kind of crazy. I mean, not crazy, but it's just like, it's a lot. I wake up, do workouts before school, which normally means waking up at 4 in the morning, and then I either have lift or like a training basketball workout, and then school all day, training after school, and then during the high school season I have practice, obviously, and like now that I'm in the off season, so I have workouts 4 in the morning, and then school, and then workouts after school, at least 6 days a week. Normally Sundays I don't do basketball training, but I lift 4 days a week, work out basketball 6 days a week. So.
For how long? Like, how long have you been on that schedule?
Since sophomore year of high school.
35. 36. 37. 127. 128. Don't play with me. Avery Howell, easily one of the hardest workers we've ever had in going on over a dozen years of Elite Is Earned. She is one of those players that doesn't care about your strengths. She's just going to outwork you. It's not about ratings and rankings or how many stars she has. Yes, she's a top 20 kid, but that's a byproduct of all the work that she put in. What drives her whole trajectory, how she went from not being really on the map outside the Treasure Valley, does anybody know where the Treasure Valley is, to being a D1 prospect, to being a Power 5 target, to being a McDonald's All-American, getting to go on the Euro camp, going from having small regional dreams to having national opportunities, and it comes to she's ready to compete. 1, 2, perfect. So the narrative that you can just be elite and just start elite is just not real. And I think Avery has really captured that throughout her process. I think she started just trying to figure out how to be in the next space up, how to be able to compete with the next level of kid outside of her Boise bubble, so to speak. And you could just see the dominoes start to fall as she started to believe in herself and added elements to her game. She's always been a really hard worker. You couldn't step in the gym any point in her playing history that I've been around for and not have her be one of the hardest working or the hardest worker in the gym, right? That's who she's been. But to see each little element she's added to her game where she hit a wall, like, oh man, they're gonna guard me like this. Oh man, I better work on my left hand. Oh, they're just gonna take straight line drives away. I better become an elite shooter. It's really been cool to see her build an elite game.
Showing up is the bare minimum.
Yeah, like you gotta
do in between.
Do you want floor seats or do you want to be in the nosebleeds? Like anybody can have nosebleeds. You got to work for them floor seats.
I'm gonna be on the court.
On the wood.
Not the seat. I'm not sitting. Not sitting.
Oh. So her first camp, she came to Seattle, and the level of player in the gym that camp weekend was just one of those special weekends where she had to really bring it, and I don't think she knew, and she was a little timid isn't the right word, but somewhere in that realm. Wasn't a little unsure of, does she belong yet?
And honestly, like going to those camps, like I was just uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable the first time I went to Chris's Elite Is Earned camp. I was like insanely uncomfortable, but then like the more I did it, the more I was exposed to those situations. I gained more confidence. I was better at them. I knew what I was doing.
She's out there physically, she's fine. You could just see her analyzing what's going on, right? Oh man, that's Katie Fizzo over there. Man, that kid's really good. Devin Coppinger, that kid's really good. And calculating how to fit in. And by the end of that weekend, especially the second day on Sunday when we started getting up and down and she had worked through some of that stuff, you're like, this is what her coaches were calling me about.
teammates, coaches, referees, like there's a lot of things that are out of my control that I just like, and even now, like I can't control the rankings. I can't control any of the news articles or any of that. I can't control if I'm invited to a camp or not. Like I can control what I'm doing to try to be invited, but at the end of the day, that's not my decision. So I feel like I did a lot of stuff that involved like just controlling the controllables and just like doing what I can do. Yeah, I feel like it's someone's opinion, but it's not like the be all end all of how good you are. Like it's a number. So it's cool, and if you're ranked high, like that's fun, but it's not like something that you should be like, okay, I need to get this ranking or I need to get this star, because that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. Once you get out of high school, it's kind of gone anyways. You're in college, like it doesn't matter anymore. You're a part of a school, you're going for a national championship for most, so.
Early on in her recruitment, she had some mid-major interest, some schools that, would have been great options for anybody in the region, but she had a little bit bigger dreams. And I remember talking to her about the schools that, hey, if you could have the perfect recruiting list, and it was cool that it wasn't, the top 5 nationally at the time. It wasn't just about, I don't really do my research, but here's what I want out of my experience. At least at 16 years old is what I think I want. And so we had a great conversation on just establishing non-negotiables. And any kid that asks for recruiting advice, we're never gonna tell you should go to this school, that's not how this works, if you want to empower these kids to make great decisions. And she had a very good understanding of what she wanted. And so to be able to not only talk about the schools that she thought fit that, but what those parameters were and establish that baseline, and then to watch where it ends up and then it all comes back together to what she wanted originally, is just, it's how you want it to go when you're helping these kids.
I do have a phrase, protect your peace, especially being in high school. It's hard. If you're I'm on a very different path than most high schoolers, which I feel like there would be more people in similar paths if I lived in California, or Texas or somewhere big, but being in Idaho, there's not very many people on this trajectory, this path with like a very specific goal in mind, and they're just doing everything to chase that and like achieve that. So that can be hard with like social things in high school. So protecting my peace, whatever that means, and then consistency. It's huge in everything, in school, in family, with being with my people, workouts, everything, just being consistent with it all.
Is it a struggle to not be a normal high school kid?
There's some hard times. There was definitely hard times like sophomore, early junior year, not senior year. I haven't had any I think I've grown out of it, and I'm just like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move on to these next couple things. I'm ready to graduate, go to USC, like all of it. Hurry up, let's go! Stop playing with me! I think it's really cool, and I think I try really hard to impact the youth and try to I train a lot of girls. I try to be with them a lot and just try to give back almost. But I think it's super cool for them to have someone to look up to, hopefully, and just kind of have that positive impact and role model, and also see that being from Idaho, yeah, it's not as big as California and Texas and stuff, but it's still doable. You can still do it. It looks different than being in California, but it's still doable. You can still achieve things. High school season's mainly your practices are working on your team stuff, your chemistry with your teammates, your sets, your offensive plays, stuff like that. So I started working out before school, which I would get up at 4, work out before school, and then during high school season I'd have 2-hour practice with my team after school.
You got to remember, I get so many people just gassing these kids up.
For sure.
And so to see kind of your evolution has just been really cool, because there's been a trajectory, right? The amount of work and stuff, and for the proud moment I have is that, okay, you've gotten all these accolades and all this recognition in the last year especially, but your routine hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the kids go for it until they get that part, and then they think the work is over, and I just a proud moment to have. And what we want the kids that come to our events and be a part of our camps, and the message that we're we didn't have to tell you that's just who you were.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't happen a ton. There's a lot of really good kids. There's a lot of kids that have made names for themselves, but to really embody what it is we want, I think that's the message and that these kids need to hear too, is that you can just continue to do the work. So Stay in touch though, man. Don't
Seriously.
disappear on us.
No, we need to set up times to actually train.
I'm not doing your 4 a.m.s anymore. The fact that you can stay the course on a path that's true to you and still get all the rewards that come with it, I think that's more relatable than an 8th grader who's anointed early and then has to live up to this hype the whole way. It's almost better that it happens this way, because every stage of her development, her recruitment, and her recognition can be tied directly back to a bunch of work that she did.